everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review. Eprom Metahuman. This guy is a Portland music producer from what I understand. This is his debut full-length LP album. And right now with styles of electronic music like dubstep, future garage, footwork, glitch hop, wonky, electronic music is really at the forefront of a lot of new and creative sounds right now. And even though Eprom is not one of the bigger names in electronic music right now, I think he's digging for new and interesting ideas with the best of them. Meet his new album, Metahuman, and this is such a headphone album. Not a phrase I use much to describe albums, only when it's necessary. Usually, I like to listen to stuff on the hi-fi, on the speakers, but not the case with this thing. Though this album's tracks do have a pretty bold and colorful attitude that you will find with most beat music producers of the glitch hop variety. Eprom's aesthetic is very quiet, it's very subtle. It's like a very calming party happening between your ears. And what I love about this dude is how he treats sound on some of these songs. He just shoots for a lot of synthetic textures on this thing. It sounds like he is treating and manipulating many of these sounds very, very minimally. Not a lot of distortion, not a ton of reverb. He really likes to maintain that juicy, lush, very electronic vibe. There are sounds on here that are of an 8-bit quality. There are a lot of rhythm sounds to me that sound akin to a lot of the snare and kick hits that you would usually hear coming out of an 808. But Eprom finds ways to kind of sequence these sounds really interestingly. The opening track just has these plinking little taps and clicks that are kind of rolling, they're kind of stuttering, they're just skittering. Some of them are close and very claustrophobic on the ear, some of them are pretty distant in a very panoramic kind of way. It's like turning a rain stick over. The introduction on this track is like gently flicking microscopic water droplets at my ears. Then all of a sudden this bassy beat comes in, it's really spacious. There are a few bouncy echoes here and there, maybe like a high or low pass filter on something to kind of give it a lo-fi aesthetic. And the groove on the track is interesting because it feels so kind of robotic and sterile. Usually something that would turn me off, but I feel like it helps the track in this case because it brings a really unique flavor to the song. This track really becomes a half human, half robot incarnate. There's something very strange about this track. There's something very serious about it, very stern about it, but you also have to keep in mind that there are bangers that come after this track. There are bouncier and just harder hitting songs to a degree that come after this track. This guy's definitely not making electronic music to bore you. He wants it to sound like a good time, but kind of a quiet good time, like the track Prototype. And even though this track does have one of the heavier beats on the album, Eprom is not about instant gratification. The track opens up with an eerie synth drone with just so many layers, just a casserole of synthesizer, and it's so thick, it's so beautiful. Then these arpeggiated riffs kind of come in, and then it just starts. It's a great groove, it's just a really kind of dark vibe, and I like how he continues to kind of walk this weird tightrope or just kind of meet at this strange crossroads where the track is kind of loud but also very soft, very kind of bare and skeletal. The track Can Control after that feels even more skeletal. It's like a dancehall track that would go over well in Purgatory. However, around the 6th track for this thing, this album kind of just jumps ship from the weird, odd, and somewhat unique world it had been building with the first portion of this album. Eprom starts bringing in these 8-bit synthesizers, which make things a little bit brighter, and I feel like I would like the 6th track that this starts on a bit more if the beat wasn't so plainly sequenced. I get that this guy wants to bring some musical variety, some stylistic variety to this album, but I don't think every change adds up to a phenomenal track. The track Transparency has some subtle dubstep influences in the synthesizers and in the vocal samples, but it's not really that memorable of a moment on the LP for me. Neither is the song Variations, which is kind of what the title says it is, a variation on a phrase, on an idea, kind of bringing it through different phases. Oh, this part's hitting hard with a beat. This part is the same musical phrase, but it kind of sounds like it's being performed with a Spanish guitar. That track kind of wears its welcome for me really fast. And the song right after that, Love Number, is just unashamed flying lotus worship. And not even really like the best flying lotus worship I've ever heard. The last portion of the album starts getting a little bit noisier, a bit glitchier, and I like that. This album starts strong, it ends relatively strong, but there is that kind of dry spot in the middle for me. This dude has some serious chops to the way he puts tracks together, even if at times the sounds themselves can seem pretty bare, pretty rudimentary and just simple on the surface. He can really create some unique atmospheres, especially on the first portion of this LP, but once he started to try on other things, that's when this LP really started to lose momentum for me. But if you're looking for an electronic music album that just brings together, like I said, very quietly, elements of dubstep music, of glitch hop, just some weird instrumentals for you beat heads, then this is definitely something worth checking out.
Hey, I make beats.
You do?
Yes.
You make beats.
Yep.
You make beats.
Yes, sir.
You make beats.
Uh-huh.
Then show me those beats.
Alright. Decent 7. Forever.